Welcome to the Northern California and Oregon coasts. This video is a scenic tour. It has been designed to give you a visual overview of the coastal area. We begin our journey in Sacramento, then on to San Francisco. From there, we will travel up the coast on Route 1 to where it joins with Route 101 at Leggett. Our journey up the coast begins at California's capital, Sacramento. Connected by ship canal to San Francisco Bay, it is the jumping-off point for our trip.
Although Sacramento's history began in the 1500s with the Spanish explorers, it wasn't until the 1800s that lumber and then gold brought settlers to the area. The capital moved to Sacramento in 1854, and the city's been growing ever since. Once laughed at as being the big tomato, when you fly into Sacramento Metropolitan Airport, you get the impression you're about to land in a cow pasture. Surprisingly, the airport is very modern, with lots of shops and restaurants, and today you will find Sacramento museums, cultural centers, and an endless variety of events, including the California State Fair. The capital is open daily to the public, and there are excellent guided tours. But probably the most visited area is Old Sacramento. Located along the Ship Canal and Sacramento River that connect Sacramento to San Francisco Bay, Old Sacramento is a collection of shops, restaurants, parks, paddle wheel steamboats, and the old railroad station, all done up in the late 1800s style. The high point of the area is the Railroad Museum, located at the north end of town. Old Sacramento isn't that big, just a few blocks, but you will find it a pleasant diversion from the hustle and bustle of the downtown Capital District. And it is within walking distance of the center of downtown and the Capitol. If you have the time, Sacramento is well worth the visit, especially if you want to learn about the history of California.
Taking Route 80 from Sacramento, we next cross the Oakland Bay Bridge into San Francisco. The ride across the bridge gives you a great panoramic view of the Bay Area.
San Francisco. It has earthquakes, a bridge, the country's most visited empty prison, fog, a beautiful song, a delightful waterfront, the world's crookedest street, and some of the most interesting people anywhere. As modern as San Francisco is today, it remains the last pioneering stronghold in the country. The gunslingers may be gone, and the pioneers look a bit different from their counterparts of the 1800s, but the spirit of being who you are or who you want to be remains the cornerstone of San Francisco's appeal. Our scenic tour is designed to introduce you to and give you an overview of this fabulous city by the bay. The rest is up to you. What sets this city apart from others is its endless series of interwoven neighborhoods. For the visitor, this makes it possible to travel from the Orient to the Mediterranean, from the seafood heaven of Fisherman's Wharf to the offbeat bars and nightclubs of Haight-Ashbury, from the Castro to Nob Hill, to the world's most famous bridge and Golden State Park. In every corner of San Francisco, you can find culture and cultural experiences, all in an area of 5 by 5 miles. By the way, San Francisco is a walking and trolley car city, so park your car in a lot for the day and go have fun. Telegraph Hill and Coit Tower are another must. You can see the whole city, the bay, Alcatraz, the Oakland Bay Bridge. Parking is somewhat limited, but it's worth the wait. If you are amongst those who want to help make Alcatraz the most visited tourist attraction in Northern California, that's a scary thought, well, there it is. Well, what can anyone say? Lombard Street is the crookedest street in the world. When it was found in the 1920s that the grade was too steep to go straight up or down, someone got the brilliant idea to make it the windiest road ever made. It has nice flower beds along the way, and the neighbors seem fairly tolerant of the attention. Oh, by the way, you can only drive down Lombard. You have to walk up, and good luck. The two biggest and most important parks in the city are the Presidio, just south of the Golden Gate Bridge, and Golden Gate Park. The Palace of Fine Arts and Exploratorium are the main attractions at the Presidio. Oh, and lots of woods with overlooks of the bridge and the Golden Gate Channel. And by the way, you will want to take a ride along Lincoln Boulevard through the Presidio. If you're looking for gardens, real gardens, and plenty of space to relax and enjoy some of San Francisco's local color, provided by the residents, Golden Gate Park is the place to sit yourself down and relax.
As you can see, the Golden Gate Bridge lives up to its reputation as one of the West Coast's most famous attractions.
Chinatown, or better yet, Town of the Far East, has become a mix of every Asian culture you can think of. By the way, it's not a tourist attraction, it's a working neighborhood, and that's what makes it special. The shops are real, the restaurants are real, and the people are real. It's only a few blocks, so go ahead, take a walk.
Các bạn mà sang trung tâm sáng này nó thấy mùi ra, kia nó mùi ra.
Go up to Lafayette Park and just look around at Sacramento Street, Washington Street, Clay, Fillmore, and the world-famous Webster Street, and you will see San Francisco as it was in its glory days. From the Victorian homes to the row houses, this is a photographer's delight. Once again, it's only a few blocks, but on a sunny day, it will certainly help if you leave your heart in San Francisco. Every fall, it's Navy Fleet Week on the bay. Let's visit Fisherman's Wharf to catch the flavor of the activities. There are parades of Navy ships and the Blue Angels, plus aerial acrobats put on quite a show. The wharf is a tourist mecca. Restaurants, well, some good, some great. Souvenir shops and pubs dot the waterfront. Bring your credit card, you can't escape. There are attractions for the kids and lots of areas just to hang out. And the trolley comes right to the foot of the waterfront from downtown. Well, we have taken you around some of the hot spots of this fabulous city, and as we said at the start, the rest is up to you. There are museums, theaters, science centers, zoos, you name it, it's here. So put on some comfortable shoes, get yourself a good guidebook, we'll give you a hint at the end of this video, and just have fun. Quite frankly, that's what San Francisco is all about. Now we're going to head north across the Golden Gate Bridge to one of our favorite small towns in the world, Sausalito. But before we go, let's take a last look at the bridge that made the whole place famous.
Traveling up Route 101, just on the other side of the bridge, is one of the Bay Area's real pleasures. A stop in Sausalito is a must.
If ever there was a community that everyone in the world would want to live in, at least for a while, it's Sausalito. It began life as a land grant in the mid-1800s, but it wasn't until the mid-1950s that Sausalito began to develop its personality as an eclectic small town that mixes creative houseboat owners with high-end restaurants, boutique shops, and houses overlooking the bay. Houses that you don't even want to know the price of. To miss Sausalito is to miss a jewel that is just plain fun to play with. You have a view of the bay, San Francisco, Alcatraz, and all the surrounding communities. Pick one of the waterfront restaurants for lunch or dinner and just enjoy what life would be like if you were filthy rich. Oh, it does get a bit crowded in summer, so either be patient or plan your visit in the fall or spring. And if you really want the place to yourself, come during the winter months. Not everything is open, but you sure do get the run of a little bit of paradise.
Heading up Route 1 from Sausalito, you begin to experience the natural beauty of the Pacific Coast. From the Golden Gate National Recreation Area to Point Reyes National Seashore, the drive is spectacular. There are side roads that can take you out to the well-known Muir and Stinson beaches. Continue north along Route 1 to Point Reyes, Tomales Bay, and Bodega Bay. All along the coast, there are places to pull off the highway and go exploring. Of course, if you're into photography, you're in paradise. Good weather or bad, you'll get some spectacular shots. Speaking of weather, there is lots of it along the coast. And unless you're driving a Hummer, Route 1 in winter can be closed down by fog, rain, mudslides, and flooding. May through October are the travel months. But even then, fog can come creeping in at any time, which of course is part of the appeal of the northern coast. The run from Point Reyes to where Route 1 crosses over to meet Route 101 at Leggett is long, about 150 miles of narrow two-lane highway that skirts the shoreline. It's a beautiful ride. But if you're in a hurry, you're on the wrong road. Small towns and beach areas dot the rocky coastline. You may be going through Sonoma and Mendocino counties, but the luxuries of the inland wine country along Route 101 are 30 or so miles to the east, and there are very few roads that cross over from the coast. So sit back and enjoy the scenery, and take time to stop at some of the park areas and lookout points. The small towns and souvenir shops along the way offer a break from what can be a tiring drive. At Fort Bragg, we'll head over to the Route 101 and head north. Along Route 101, south of Redwood National Park, you'll find historic Ferndale, Eureka with its restored old town, and Arcata, home to Humboldt State University, the only university on the North Coast.
Just below Eureka, California, is one of those special places that time has more or less forgotten. Well, Ferndale, California hasn't exactly been forgotten. In fact, it has become a destination in itself. Built in the late 1800s with Victorian-style houses, as well as just plain early 1900s shops, hotels, and restaurants, a few bars here and there, the town has remained pretty much the same over the last 100 years. Despite an earthquake that necessitated some remodeling, the town remains a working early 1900s village with just a few early 1900s residents. The charm of Ferndale is that it's real. Not only are the buildings and streets real, the whole town is a working community. No one is parading around in silly old 1890s clothing, well, almost no one, or putting on shows for the visitors. This is definitely not a theme park, but for anyone traveling up or down the coast, a few hours in Ferndale will help set your clock back, and you'll come away feeling that you have just been somewhere very special. Stroll around town and leave the modern day behind, at least for a little while. As the story goes, as James T. Ryan slogged ashore from his whaling ship in 1850, he shouted, "Eureka!" meaning, "I have found it." What he found is now Eureka, California's largest coastal city north of San Francisco. Driving through town on Route 101 probably will not do much for your sense of scenic wonder. Gas stations, motels, and fast food restaurants dot that highway, but it's the areas just north of 101 that make Eureka worth visiting. But perhaps the two biggest draws are the restored Skid Row area known as Old Town, replete with Victorian gingerbread houses, clean streets, parks along the waterfront, and a variety of boutique shops. You'll want to bring your camera along. Some of these houses are spectacular. There are a variety of small museums, parks, a zoo, harbor tours, marinas, beaches, the fishing fleet, and a Sequoia Redwood park. And if you have the time, a tour around Humboldt Bay by rental canoe, kayak, or harbor tour will leave you with a different perspective of Eureka. Out on the Samoa Peninsula is the Samoa Cookhouse. It began as the eatery for the loggers that occupied the area from the 1850s. At one time, there were as many as 70 lumber mills in operation, and today there is only one left. But the Samoa Cookhouse still serves up a variety of hearty meals to the public in a very cookhouse setting, including the red and white checkered tablecloths.
The climate of the area is not for the timid. Most of the year it's foggy, rainy, damp, and cool, with temperatures ranging from the 40s to the 70s, depending on whether the sun decides to make an appearance. But the weather is the whole point of your trip up the California and Oregon coast. It's the weather that has created giant redwood trees, a spectacular coast, endless shipwrecks, earthquakes, floods, and even the occasional fabulously sunny day. The best times of year for the Northern California coast are early spring and early fall. If you're into outdoor activities, there's hiking, bird and whale watching, fishing, and of course, touring the redwood forests. Although small pockets of redwoods can be found up and down the California coast, even as far south as Santa Cruz, the main forests begin as you head north on 101 from Leggett. Below Eureka is Humboldt Redwood State Park. And above Eureka, stretching almost to the Oregon border, is Redwood National Park. Redwood National Park is made up of a series of parks along the approximately 50 miles of Redwood coastline. There are campgrounds, coastal access areas, a visitor center, and Klamath where you can meet Paul Bunyan and his blue ox babe. There's a scenic road that parallels 101 for a few miles. It'll definitely give you that wilderness feeling. And along the way, if you check your map and guidebook, is a turnoff that takes you out to a spectacular view along the coast from the top of a very high cliff. But the most important part of this area is just to appreciate the fact that you're standing in the midst of trees that are over 2,000 years old and whose ancestors date back to the dinosaurs. At the end of the Redwoods is Crescent City. It has a variety of accommodations, a lighthouse you can visit, a museum, and historic weather-beaten downtown, a prison, and local activities year-round. The area also happens to be where most of the world's Easter lilies are grown. As you cross the California-Oregon border, you'll notice a change from the variety of redwoods and evergreen trees to the predominant tree of the Oregon coast, the Douglas fir. If you thought the Northern California coast was green, the Oregon coast is one big forest of green. The exceptions, of course, are the beaches, rocks, and sand dunes. Similar to the rocky California coastline, the Oregon coast has rocks, only here, Oregon seems to have decided to replace giant redwoods with giant rocks. They're everywhere along the coast. Majestic, monumental, big. Brookings is the first town across the border, and just a bit north is Gold Beach, one of Oregon's better-known summer vacation spots. Besides the beach, the area is perhaps best known for the Rogue River estuary. Both the beach areas and the river offer a variety of attractions, sights, and activities. The climate is mild, but the torrential rains of late fall to early spring make this a very seasonal destination. From the border to Coos Bay, where the famous Oregon dunes begin, there are endless parks, recreation areas, and interesting small towns. Coos Bay is the largest town along the way and offers accommodations and attractions. It's probably best known as being the starting point of approximately 50 miles to the town of Florence, where Mother Nature shows off her sense of humor. For a variety of reasons, over the past 12,000 or so years, the coast has come to look more like the Arabian Desert than Oregon. There are lookout points and coastal access areas and a state park. The towns that have taken the most advantage of the area is Reedsport and nearby Winchester Bay. About 15 miles north of Reedsport is Sand Dunes Frontier and Theme Park. And although there are other areas to go dune buggy riding, this organization just happens to be located where the dunes are perhaps the most exciting for riding. You can choose to go out on your own or in group tours. If you've never been on a small quad dune buggy, you might want to try the group SCENIC ride.
Located at the southern end of the Oregon Dunes National Recreation Area is the quaint town of Reedsport. Marinas, fishing fleets, beaches, the Umpqua Lighthouse State Preserve, and the Dean Creek Elk Preserve are all great attractions, but perhaps most of all is the beginning of the 47 or so miles of sand dunes that extend up to Florence along Route 101. If you haven't been to the Sahara Desert, the trip between Reedsport and Florence will give you the real feel of what it must be like to travel through endless mountains of sand. Fortunately for you, the ocean is only a few yards away on one side, and Route 101 with a variety of small towns on the other. You can't get too lost there. Reedsport is small, has some hotels and food shops, along with a few restaurants, but it is really the scenery that is the main attraction. A trip up to the lighthouse will give you a view of the ocean, the inlet to the Reedsport Harbor, and the start of the dunes. There are some parks in the area right on the dunes, and you might want to check them out. The start of the dunes also means the start of the dune buggies. If you have never encountered a dune buggy or ridden on one, be prepared for a somewhat strange phenomenon. 3- and 4-wheel small vehicles running up and down sand dunes as fast as they can, seemingly with the one motive of turning upside down.
From Florence to Newport, you're pretty much on your own. A few small towns and places to stop and eat, but mostly there are state parks, over a dozen, campgrounds, lookout points, waysides, beaches, and rocks. Devil's Elbow State Park, just north of Florence, offers a variety of scenic areas. The climate along the coast is somewhat different from Northern California. There are areas that get a good deal of rain, and others that see more cloudiness than rain. The temperatures rarely reach extremes, but once again, May through October are the touring months. If you're going to the beach, June, July, and August offer the best chance of sunny days. The shoreline is rocky and rugged with small beaches popping up from time to time. Newport is a trip back in time to the 1950s and 60s. Just north of South Beach, Newport has two parts. The beach area lies along Route 101, while the town is slightly inland on Yaquina Bay. Newport is a must, so let's pay it a visit.
Newport. It has beaches, of course, and it has Yaquina Bay. The bay is where it's happening, whether sailing, canoeing, kayaking, or taking a harbor tour. But perhaps the place you want to eventually end up is Bay Boulevard. This is where the shops, restaurants, bars, some great pubs, attractions, souvenir shops, an undersea restaurant, well, sort of, lots of sea lions lounging about, art galleries, the whole bit. Well, why don't we just let you see for yourself? Don't miss Newport. You can easily spend 2 or more days here. Of course, fall and spring are less crowded, so if you're coming in summer, book in advance. There are plenty of good hotels, motels, and bed and breakfasts. Make this a real destination. It's well worth it.
From Newport, we head up the coast to Cannon Beach. The coastal areas remain similar to what we've seen. And we're going to jump to Cannon Beach so that we can make it into Portland in the morning.
Well, there's a big rock, a rapidly growing coastal community. Cannon Beach is still one of the Oregon coast's favorite getaways. About 50 miles from Portland, and despite touristy shops, restaurants, fast food restaurants, Cannon Beach still retains its oceanfront majesty. There are small museums and a wildlife refuge, plus a variety of parks. Oh, by the way, if you want to see the beach, you might want to aim for the summer months. The rest of the year, there is fog, as inspiring as it might be. It is very wet and cold, but it is great for photographers.
And now, Portland. Portland has been referred to as Retro Seattle. If Seattle, Washington thinks it has a lock on variety of cultures and styles, take a look at Portland. Somewhere along the way, it decided not to grow too fast. So, like much of Oregon, a visit to Portland is a trip back to a less hurried time. If you don't mind weather, and there is lots of it here, in January 2000 it actually snowed downtown. This city really is a cultural experience.
Located about 50 miles inland from Cannon Beach is Portland, Oregon's major city. Bordered by the Columbia and Willamette rivers and the state of Washington, Portland is truly a city of water and bridges. Although Lewis and Clark made it to Portland in the early 1800s, it wasn't until the mid-1800s that Portland began to take shape. By 1900, the population was close to 100,000 and still growing. Agriculture was the mainstay, and although today Portland is very much a cosmopolitan city, even with the population exceeding 3 million, it still has that pioneering spirit. A variety of neighborhoods can take you from Chinatown to Nob Hill, Portland's answer to San Francisco's. Nob Hill has its Victorian homes, a variety of coffee shops and ethnic restaurants, and interesting residents. In fact, all of Portland is interesting. In a few hours, you can get a taste of cultures that in larger cities would take days. Besides a variety of museums, a symphony, and other cultural venues, there is the Rose Garden. Hit it at the right time of year and the displays are fantastic. Portland is broken up into areas: southeast, northeast, northwest, greater downtown. Well, you get the point. Each area has a distinctive flavor, and it's worth driving around just to see what's going on. Both Washington Park and Forest Park are pleasant getaways and offer varying views of the city, including, on a clear day, Mount Hood, Mount St. Helens, and if you're really lucky, a few of the Sisters, as the other local mountains are known. If you don't care that much for rain, you might want to plan your visit between May and September, especially if you plan to go to the beaches. Besides rain, fog is the coastal region's primary weather during winter. It is majestic, but wet. Getting around Portland is relatively easy. You can always walk, and downtown isn't that big. Parking can be a problem, but there are buses, trolleys, and taxis. The waterfront along the Willamette is worth a leisurely stroll. There are tour boats, restaurants, and pubs, everything you need to have fun. So get yourself a guidebook and map and go exploring. That's what Portland is all about. The people are friendly, and so is the city.
If you're visiting in summer, you might want to go out to the Columbia River Gorge. It's the world's most popular windsurfing area. Well, that's the tour. We've traveled some 700 miles and seen some spectacular scenery and some very interesting cities and towns. We suggest that you get yourself a good guidebook and map. Both Moon Publications and Lonely Planet have excellent guides. We've given you a brief overview, and the rest is up to you. Enjoy your journey.
For more information on TimeWave programming, including other destination travelogues, contact us at 619-238-5234 or visit our website at www.time-wave.com.